Most events are forgettable, not because the people running them don't care, but because they're optimizing for logistics instead of memory. I'm Jay Minash, Senior Director of Strategy and Growth at Exhibitus, and this is Event Experience Experts. Every episode, I sit down with the creatives, strategists, and senior leaders who are raising the bar on what live brand experiences can actually do. If you're done accepting forgettable, you're in the right place. All right. Well, my guest today has spent the better part of her career proving that the biggest events in the world don't run on logistics, they run on people. She's led global event strategy at SAP, where she's been the force behind flagship programs like SAP Connect. She started her career managing marketing for the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup, which tells you she's never been afraid of pressure or a moving ball. Today, she sits on the awards for the Event X industry, and her team has been recognized for their success as well. But it's not the awards or the swag of the event. It's what happens when the org chart says one thing and the right call is something else entirely. Quick bit of context before we jump in. So I found Melissa on LinkedIn about 5 years ago. She posted about being a hockey fan and a parent and someone who has spent their entire career in events. And, well, that is the whole reason I sent her a cold message and kind of why we're here today and doing this little podcast. So please welcome Melissa Vilders.
Hello.
Well, I say welcome, but it's really just, me and you. I don't even know why, but that's
the two of us. Very casual chit chat.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this earlier. I'm like, there's going to be like at least 6 or 7 people that see and view this thing. I'm hoping it's more, but I can guarantee there will be at least that many.
You never know. Might be going viral. Who knows?
That's true. Well, I guess I'll just jump right into my questions. So, events, obviously, we both believe in the power of the events. What was the moment in your career that you realized that events are more powerful than any other medium and they could do just much more than that?
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think there was like one single moment that I came to that realization. I think it was something I noticed really over time. You can send email, you can publish content on LinkedIn. I do it all the time. You can host webinar, but really there's nothing, especially nowadays with AI and all that fakeness around us, that replace bringing people into the same room. And so, like you say, I've spent 15 years, I think almost 15 years at SAP. I've led Success Connect. More recently, I'm leading the Partner Summit series. And I've led other events within SAP, but I've seen a lot of partnership really form over a coffee break and, customer completely changing their perception about SAP after one conversation with another customer. Or I've led our internal sales kickoff, and I've seen employees just leaving that event with such genuine inspiration about the company. So I think I just realized that kind of over time, I think we are not doing just logistic. We are truly creating environment where business and human connection happen at the same time. Human connection was actually one of our tagline years ago for Success Connect, because we realized people are just craving that human connection.
Yeah, and I think it's really accelerated in the past, 5 to 6 years between the pandemic and now, to your point, AI. I talk about this all the time. I love AI. It helps me be more efficient in so many different things. What I love most about AI is that it makes events much more impactful because you can't fake it. We're here, we're in the same room, we're having a conversation. We're not physically in the same room, but when we're talking about our events, but yeah, it really... It accelerates everything in terms of just being there together, getting to know the person one-to-one. I just had a meeting right before this, and they're like, it's all about like that connection in person and making sure we like each other. And that's what our differentiator is. And I was talking to a healthcare company, and I'm like, I've never heard a healthcare company that sells what they sell be like, yeah, it was because they liked our team. And I'm like, that's literally the first meeting of any opportunity I have. It's like, let's have this chemistry and culture meeting and make sure we like each other. And when you do it in person or you break bread, it's like, this is real.
I mean, even if you think about, like you say, we connected on LinkedIn and we made sure we met, I think it was during IMEX. And obviously I made a lot of friends through LinkedIn in the industry, but we always make sure we meet in person. It just makes a difference once you know somebody face to face.
Yeah, 100%. I remember meeting you at IMEX. Actually, I was at Success Connect as well.
Oh, you came to Success Connect? See? Thank you.
Yeah. And I realized I called it SAP Connect before, but
I know, that's why I was like, hold on. All good. We do have SAP Connect. I'm not leading that one though.
My mistake. We're not aiming this out. Got to have the bloopers to make it feel, authentic and real, and not AI.
Yeah.
What about so when you're at an event, let's talk about Success Connect. How do you know when it's working, when the experience is working? And we're not talking like 2 months after, the business opportunities came out of it. Like, how do you know in the moment when it's like, wow, we really have something special here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very famous within my team for looking at the attendee either during keynote, but more specifically during our celebration night. I stand literally in the DJ booth and you can see me taking it all in. And I think I just seeing the energy of people, are people leaning in? Are they pulling out their phone because they're so inspired? Are they taking picture with each other? Or are they bored and are they leaving early and complaining, right? Our conversation happening in the hallway between breakout session or our attendee leaving the session, halfway through the breakout session. So for me, it's really just about energy. It's not so much about the agenda or the number. I know a lot of company and a lot of stakeholders look at, well, how many people picked up their badge, and it's an important metric. But for me, it's really, I think the energy just tells you the truth, and energy don't lie. So I watch people. I really people watch. And when I see that they don't want to end the conversation, then that's when I know that my team and I have created something very meaningful.
That's a really good point. I mean, you can feel energy. It's not even something, yeah, of course you can notice it, but I don't know if you've been to New York City in the past month, but And I've been talking about it a lot, and this will be 2 recordings in a row where I talk about the Knicks championship, which was just about a month ago. It's like, but you literally, like, even talking about it now, I get chills from just like, I haven't felt that energy in New York City in quite a long time. And, it's the same thing at events. When a good event is going strong, you really can feel it. And I know there's no metric associated to feeling, but, facts are not as strong as feelings sometimes.
I mean, the truth is also, social media is usually a good tool to kind of measure the energy, because if you see a lot of people posting about your event, they do it like organically. They're just very happy to be there and very proud to be part of it. So I kind of use that as my energy metric for my stakeholder. But you're right, there is truly not a energy metric. Maybe something we can create. I don't know. I'd ask.
We'll get some kind of barometer. I prefer Claude, but yes, we. Oh
yeah, I started to use Claude too. I have to say I'm way behind on the whole AI. I'm not using it as I should, but I'm learning.
Oh, you'll fall in love. I mean, you can't, and again, this is 2 in a row where it's like I go on the AI tangents. All the heat about, it's going to replace people. It's like, it's kind of dumb without us. I mean, not dumb is not the right word, but it's like, it can't do, you need that layer of expertise above it to like, yes, I need to proof this and actually edit it, because listen, I came up with a lot of my questions to talk to you about using AI, but it's like, after I did the research, after I went through your LinkedIn profile, I was seeing the things you were posting about, but yeah. So I guess I was going to say contrary to my last question about like, how do you know it's working, but it's not really contrary, but it's like, have there ever been a moment at one of your events where the audience responded differently than what you expected?
Yeah, a few. I think, one of the things is sometimes the keynote, for example. You think you have a great keynote and you hire a celebrity keynote speaker, and that's great and people get very excited. But the truth is, when you look at the survey, or even when you just hear people talking about it, they enjoy maybe the smaller networking experience or just a conversation they had with another customer on the show floor. So, I think that always kind of remind me of what we want as a company, as an organizer, as stakeholder, and also what our attendee actually remember. I don't think they remember a perfect run of show. I think they just remember how the event made them feel. And again, that goes back to the human connection, the human feeling. Is the event making them feel good about themselves? Are they learning? Are they networking with people with similar interests? And so it's just like those type of moment where I can see, okay, well, they done with the keynote. They're out of the door before the keynote is ending. They just want to go to the welcome reception, because that's where they get that connection. So that happened a few times, but really, I never had an event where, the audience was like so disappointed in a specific area. So I guess I've been lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's being we work in the B2B event world. I don't think you're ever going to see that kind of like hate and vitriol you might see on social media for like a more B2C event. But and you talked about it a little bit. So you've because you've had some rock star keynote speakers at your events. Have you moved away from that, and based on these learnings?
It really depends on each event within SAP. Obviously, it's a budget question. So certain events have higher budget than other. And also it's really based on sometimes stakeholder preference. Sometimes it's based off study that we do with our attendee. So we obviously have a big range of events within SAP. We have different line of business. So we don't run every event the same way. So I would say some of them still have a lot of celebrity speaker. The one that I'm leading right now, the SAP Partner Summit, we do not get celebrity speaker, and we still get very good keynote feedback.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm as much as I was at South by Southwest and I saw some of the coolest speakers I've ever seen. Sometimes I actually did better, and for me, he was a rock star. Will Guidara spoke at South by Southwest. I got into it last second, which if you went to the bigger keynotes at South by, it's like you better be there at least 30 minutes to an hour before to even get a seat, let alone a good seat. Yeah. Whereas I got into his session a minute before, and I was like, this was such an impactful session for me because I just finished reading, I think it was the second time I read it, Unreasonable Hospitality, and he was there, and it's like, he's not this huge name. Do you know who Will Guidara is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's he used to be the owner of 11 Madison Park. He wrote the book Unreasonable Hospitality, which you haven't read. I highly, highly recommend. It speaks a lot to our world, but it's like, to that, your exact point, it's like, it wasn't the rock star speaker. It was the serendipitous moments I had where I did sit next to someone. It's like, oh, you happen to be in the same industry as me at South by Southwest, which is really rare that and that was one of the bigger keynotes where I sat next to somebody where it's like, oh my God, this is somebody I could actually really want to talk to, and had no idea before that. So yeah, I think it really does hit home. And I'm gonna change my order a little because I was gonna ask a different question next, but you mentioned something about stakeholders getting involved. So at the scale of SAP, which is obviously one of the biggest companies in the world, you've got stakeholders everywhere with opinions about how events should go. When a stakeholder comes to you and they try to override the call your team or one of your vendors is really best positioned to make, how do you handle that? And I'll ask a second part to that. What has it taught you about who deserves that final say?
Yeah. First of all, I would say I've been extremely lucky at SAP. I've always had an amazing relationship with my stakeholder. So there's a lot of trust both between them and me. So usually they listen to my recommendation, but I would say my number one thing on how to kind of handle it is I always assume positive intent first. I think we all want the same thing. We just go about it differently because we have different KPI and we are in different role. So first of all, assuming positive intent on their side, and I hope they assume the same on my side. We are trying to achieve a business outcome, and while me and my team, we thinking about execution and really the attendee experience, we just have different perspectives. So my job is really to explain not just what we're recommending, but why. And I always go with an explanation. I always try to understand the request. I never say no. I take the request and I digest it. I talk to my team about it. Even if I know it's totally unrealistic and it's not going to happen, I still take the time to, just look at the request and digest it before I say no. And sometimes we just have to agree to disagree. And, we, at the end, I make a recommendation. My team make a recommendation to me. My vendor make a recommendation to me. I relay that information, but ultimately, some of the stakeholders have the final say. So, you got to pick your battle sometimes.
Yeah, well, that is for sure. I've learned that life lesson many times over. But there's something, and my boss actually says this a lot as well. Think about the intentions. And I literally said this to my daughter the other day. I talked about right before we started. She's 12. She wants to help more and more. It's like, super. I'm so happy you're going to be a useful part of the family now and not just be served like you always have. I shouldn't say that. She's not always served. She's always been very helpful. But it's like, hey, can you just ask what help I need versus like just jumping in to help? And it's like, because sometimes that's not always so helpful. And I think it's the same with stakeholders. It's like, yeah, they're always going to have a point of view, and that asking why. And I pulled this quote, I will say, from Ted Lasso. I know it, I think it's Walt Whitman actually, but it's like, be curious, not judgmental. So ask that, like, what? So like, tell me why. Because if you go straight into like, sorry, we're not going to be able to do that, which is often my response as a parent. But in the business world, it's like, well, tell me why you said that, or tell me why you think that. Because if I understand why you're thinking that, I can come back with like, well, this is what our objective is for this event. And I think that's probably how you're handling the stakeholders. But it's really nice to hear at such a big company that like they clearly trust you. And you've also been there 15 years, so I'm sure that helps.
Been there for a long time. And also, honestly, sometimes if they want to go into a different direction, my job is to make sure they understand the trade-off. And I think once people understand the operational impact that some of those decisions have, they usually become like better partner in those decisions instead of being like, opponent and, it's me versus you. It's like we all have the same goal. Sometimes I think at a certain level, they may not understand how a small decision can have such a domino effect, even when it comes to budget. So it's just like a lot of education that we have to do. And I don't mind doing it. I don't.
Oh, it makes you a good partner. I mean, again, it comes down to the why and giving them the full picture, because often when it seems like a little request, it's like, well, yes, it is if you're looking at it through this lens. But when you open up the lens and you see, it's like, well, it's going to affect our load in, it's going to affect our load out, it's going to affect setting up this space and that space and the catering and these people coming in, the registration. It's like, oh, wow, there's more to this event than I ever imagined. And it's like when people call event people party planners, it's like, you have no idea what you just said.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
Party, but yeah. No.
Listen, even the parties we plan, we hosted Thanksgiving at our house. This is going almost 2 years ago now. We have 30 people here, and there was a spreadsheet involved. And of course, because I'm married to an event producer as well, and it's like each of the oven, the microwave, the air fryer, the convection oven, each had their own column. They each had a color. They had, here's the food item going in. Here's what time it needs going. Here's what time it comes out. Here's the temperature. It's like, yeah, you can call any event person a party planner. It's like, but give it a try. See who's going to figure this out and who's not. And the event planner or producer will always win.
Yep.
All right. Well, the next area is, so I wanted to bring up, because you post quite a bit about the people behind the scenes, and we all know it literally, it takes an army of people to produce any size scale event. So, when you're talking about like AV techs or security or catering, they can make or break the event. And they're going to remember how they were treated. What's a moment where trusting one of the quote unquote behind the scenes people paid off in a way that the org chart would never have predicted?
Yeah, and I love that you're mentioning the org chart shop, because for me, I don't like titles in corporate America, and I know that's how this works. But to me, I learned that titles don't determine expertise, really. And so for me, some of the best decisions I've made came from listening to an AV lead, who's worked thousands of shows, or a catering manager who understands how the attendee flow works better than anyone else, or my security team. We work with a company called Power Meal, and they're amazing. And they can spot, a risk before I can even think about it. And so for me, I really treat my vendors as a true partner instead of just a supplier. They are a true extension of the team. They are trusted, and I actually encourage them to not say yes to all of my requests, because sometimes I do come up with crazy requests, and I do appreciate when they're like, hey, Melissa, no, this is not going to happen. We cannot do this because of that. We need to open the keynote at this time. So really, they're not just executing my plan or my team's plan. They really are protecting our event. And honestly, I always say my vendor are there to make us look good. They make the magic happen. We are just here to kind of provide the guideline and the guardrail and make sure the strategy is being followed. But really, I think I've lost track of how many issues or potential issues were avoided because someone on the ground felt comfortable enough to speak or take action. Because again, I want them to make decisions, especially when we are on site. I never want to be in a situation where somebody has to come to me or to my project manager when there is something that needs to be decided in a matter of minutes. I trust all the partners that we have to make the right decision. So I listen to all of my vendors. Sometimes I don't agree, but I listen.
Yeah, but again, it comes down. It's similar to the stakeholder question. It's like the why behind it. It's like you have to understand. Like they're coming with a point of view. So let's hear it out. Maybe they're going to save you some time, some money, some stress. Usually some stress. And I even like the juxtaposition because I don't like the word vendor or supplier because this is a team sport internally and externally. It's like if you're not relying on the entire team and you don't feel you can, well, you're not working with the right people. And that doesn't matter if it's whether it's on the Exhibitus team or the SAP team or one of your other partners. It's like you got to trust, and you know that you're hiring them as an expert in their field, so treat them as a partner and listen to those things. Yes, there are always going to be self-motivations driving certain things, but yeah. So no, but I appreciate that perspective. All right, a little bit more fun question. No, we're not.
Question. I don't.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So, all right, well, let's get into the next question is, what are you watching, reading, or experiencing outside of this industry that's changing how you think about your work inside it?
What am I watching? Honestly, I'm watching, I think people, I think over the last couple of years, I've been very public about it on LinkedIn. I've gone through some very difficult personal experiences that completely changed how I think about leadership and connection. And so it made me realize that everyone walks into an event, from vendor to employee, to customer, attendee, anyone in the event walks into it carrying something that we don't always see. So that perspective kind of has influenced how I lead a team, how I work with vendor, even how I think about the attendee experience, if I'm being honest. I think logistics matter a lot, but empathy is very important in this industry. And so for me, the best event doesn't just give content to people. It's really about making them feel seen and making them feel good about themselves and just the moments that they are in. So more just observing people, a lot of psychology. I'm not really watching per se anything or reading specific books about it. It's more from my own experience and my own feelings.
Yeah, no, I think everybody could use a little bit more empathy and taking that step back. And I'm noticing a theme in our conversations about being curious and not being so judgmental. It's like you have no idea what's going on in somebody's life, and you have no idea whatever response they have to you in a certain moment. And I think being a parent has really taught me that more than anything, where it's like I see my kid come home from school and blow up. I'm like, I just gave you a snack. Like, what is going on here? And it's like, but when I was younger, it's like I didn't ask questions. Even with my kids, it's like I remember very clear moments when my son especially was like in that 3-year range where it's like, whew, that was a tough time with kids, let me tell you. But it's like, what is going on here? Let me take a break, demonstrate the behavior you want to see. But it's like, it's hard to talk to a 3-year-old, which I'm sure you're very well aware. But it's like,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but taking a break and like, not a break, but taking a step back and like, all right, let's look at this situation again, like the stakeholders, like your partners. And it's like, let me just ask what's going on here and get a better feel. And sometimes you don't have the opportunity to ask, but it's like, if you're able to make those observations and you can see if someone's hurting or someone just looks off, like for me, reading people is one of the things I think is a strength of mine. And I can very quickly tell when it's like, you're not acting like yourself right now. Whether it's like the third time I've ever spoken to somebody or it's like the 100th time. It's obviously they're different feels, but
you did. You sent me a message. You were like, you disappeared from LinkedIn. Are you okay? So you are good at sensing when somebody is going through something.
I also, that's a thing that I've taken on, I don't know, past decade, I'll say. It's like, if someone pops in my brain, I'm like, there's a reason. And I will in most cases be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's it. And yeah, I think it's really important. And there was one of your posts that really like hit home for me. It's like events can be a break for people. Like you don't know what they're getting a break from. And again, I'm going to talk about my kids again, but my daughter, when she was really young, she's like, oh, Daddy, are you going on vacation? And I'm like, listen, honey, I am traveling for work. Yes, you are right. But this is not vacation. I'm typically working instead of the 7 to 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day. It's like 10, 12, 14 hours in a day. And then I started to think, I'm like, well, I get to eat what I want. Sleep in my own bed. Nobody's waking me up. Nobody's asking me for anything. I take care of myself. Yeah, honey, Daddy's going on a work vacation this week. You're right.
It's true. It's a nice break. No matter what, you running from, it could be from the kids that's, asking a gazillion of questions, or from a bad spouse, or from, taking care of your elderly parents and you need a break. I think events does give relief to people. And I think that's something we need to remember. At the end of the day, everybody's going through something, and it doesn't have to be something crazy. It can be something small. And I hate to minimize what someone is going through. So I think just remembering that we are giving people an opportunity to be with themselves, have a great moment, is something that I think is amazing that we can do.
Yeah, and I think, again, to your point, it comes down to empathy. And I can't speak for the whole world, but I can certainly speak to my world. And there should be more empathy out there. It's like, just think for a second.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What would you tell yourself at the start of your career? And, this is, God, there's so many things I know I would tell myself, and I continuously talk to myself in my head all the time. But what would you tell yourself at the start of your career that it's like, I don't know, it doesn't even need to be event related. Maybe it's just career related, but yeah, what would you tell yourself?
So I would tell myself so many things. But career related, I would tell myself that, your career is really built on relationships more than on perfection. I think that's something I learned being in corporate America. Relationship with your stakeholder, relationship with your vendor, relationship with your peers, will take you further than anything else. Early on, I think I thought, for me, success meant having every answer and never making mistakes, right? Working like crazy and never taking a break. And obviously I've learned, I'm more mature now. And so now I know that people remember how you made them feel to work with. So be curious, be kind, own your mistake quickly. We are not perfect. Even if you are leading an event and leading a team, it's, how many times I had to tell someone, hey, I'm sorry, you were actually right, and I apologize. So I think just being humble, give credit generously to your team and to your vendor. Like, this is not a one woman or one man show. It's a village. Not just in the event industry, I think in every career. Mm-hmm. And then I think one last thing I would say is don't wait for confidence before raising your hand. Confidence usually comes after you do the hard thing, not before. So I'll give you a little example. It was years ago. My boss at the time put me on this role as an operation manager, which was a bigger role than what I had before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. She's like, no, you'll be fine. You're ready. You'll figure it out. And I remember hanging up the phone and thinking, why is she trusted? What's wrong with her? And actually, I just talked to her a few weeks ago about that. And she was right. It's like, you don't need to have all of the answer. You have a team. And as long as you have the right people around you, you will succeed. And so, yeah, and take it easy.
Well, you said it all. I mean, there's so many things I can ask about or continue on there, but the figure it out mentality is the key to events. I would say more so the key to life. I say to my kids, one of my former employees who was accepting a new job in a totally new field, doing a totally new job, I'm like, hey, Tom, let's think about your work history. Like, he started at Enterprise. Like, did you get promoted? Yeah. And then he got where I met him at Jack Morton. He was the only account coordinator who was a contractor that got brought on full time. It's like, figured it out. I hired him to do a completely new job at my last company. It's like, figured it out. I'm like, I think you're good, buddy. Like, figuring it out is clearly one of your superpowers. But also the other part, the people you surround yourself with. I mean, that is so much more important than we talk about. And I think you have to make sure it's like, yeah, you got to be with people, A, that have your back and would look out for the best in you, and also will push you to do that next big thing. I think, we go through life. Life is short, but, so much caution, and I'm not sure, am I ready for this? It took me until I was probably 38 or 39 to have like true confidence. And it's like, it changed my life to realize it's like, I think I'm good at this, So yeah, take the chance.
And honestly, I think also we put so much weight on what other people think. I mean, not just in our career, I think in our personal life, or even if, anyone watching this is on LinkedIn, thinking about creating a post, but then they worried because, well, what if they only get 2 likes? Then, oh my gosh, really, nobody cares. Not to be cynical, but we are going to die one day. Nobody's going to remember if your LinkedIn post had 5,000 likes or if it had 2 likes. And that is not the thing you're going to think on your deathbed. So I just tell people, live your life, let people judge you if they want to judge you, be kind. And like you say, surround yourself with good people, not just at work. I think that works in your personal life as well. You will become the people you surround yourself with. So be careful who that is.
Yeah. And nobody thinks about themselves as much as we think about ourselves.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Well, you've said it all. That's all I've got for you.
Okay, well, thank you. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And this is the end of episode 2 of the Event Experience Experts. Well, you said it all. If you walked away with one thing you'll use and didn't just nod along, we did our job. Event Experience Experts drops every week. Subscribe wherever you listen. And if you want to see this beautiful mug, watch us on YouTube. I'm Jay Minash, and I'll see you next time.